Hello, welcome to our live class of this beautiful painting, Artsy Llama. We're not going to start quite yet. I want to give everyone about a couple minutes to get settled and get ready, or if we're waiting on anybody. But during this live chat or video, if you ever need to pause the video, you can, and then you can catch up later and we'll still be live. If you have any questions, you can go to the right of your screen and type a question. And like I said, we're live, so you can say, "Hi, Lindsay," or you can ask a question. That's my name, Lindsay, or you can just call me teacher. So yeah, let's see. It looks like we have, I think, everyone. Hopefully. So, before we get started, I'm just going to go over the materials that came in your fun little pouch, and then we'll get started. So, you all should have 3 brushes. This one is our Big Papa brush. He likes it when you call him Big Papa. You can use Big Papa for the background and the big area of the llama, like all this fur right in here. Then we have our medium brush. This is my favorite brush. I don't know why, I just love it a lot. But for the medium-sized detail, we'll be using the medium brush. So our paintbrush, these flowers, the snoot, all these little lines. Can't really see from here, but all of these individual little lines, we'll be using our medium brush to create those. And then, last but certainly not least, we have our detail brush. And our detail brush is for the detail. All of these thin little lines, the eyes, just the small stuff. Then, in your individual little cups, we have your paint. Now, you can keep your paint in the cups if you would like, or you can put them on your plate. It's up to you. Then we have our paper towels. You're going to want to rinse out your brush and dry it out as much as you can in between colors. If you don't dry out your brush, especially this guy, he holds a lot of water. So it'll actually drip down your canvas. So make sure to give it a nice pinch in that napkin after you're done rinsing out your brush. Then you have a water cup, and the last thing I included is a little orange piece of chalk. The chalk is, the reason I picked orange is because it's our lightest color. We're going to want to draw our llama beforehand, and you're going to want a light color. If I included a color like blue or red, when you start painting, it would actually smear that color. And especially with the blue, it would just mix into this kind of blah color. So I included orange. You're going to want to draw as light as you can. If you mess up, you can kind of rub it away. It will leave a light orange little residue, but once we paint over it, it's a light enough color, it'll completely be covered. That's why I picked orange. For me, I will be drawing with a Sharpie so you can actually see it. If I drew with an orange piece of chalk on this, the camera wouldn't pick it up. So I'm going to draw with a permanent marker. We're living life on the edge. And with all that being said, again, if you have any questions, if I'm going too fast, please type it. I'll be able to see it and I can respond to you. If you need to pause the video, you can, and then you can catch up with us. This is acrylic paint, so it will stain your clothes. You can kind of see my shirt. It's all stained. So if you have an apron that you want to wear, or make sure you're wearing kind of old clothes that you don't care if they get stained. And with that all being said, are we ready to start drawing our little llama? I'm going to take it step by step, because drawing can be a little, intimidating. So let's find our canvas. It's freshly wrapped, so hopefully you've unwrapped it and you're all set and ready to go. But you're going to take your orange piece of chalk. Again, I'm using a marker, but take your orange piece of chalk, and I like to start on the top of the head. The top of the head eventually will be covered with flowers, But for the time being, I'm just going to, let's see, maybe a hand's width and a half. I'm just going to draw a nice little line to the top of the head. Maybe I will scoot closer. And then the ear, think of an almond shape or maybe like a leaf. That's kind of what the shape of this ear is. It's not the bent one. You're just going to go out and it's going to get bigger and then it's going to go up to a point at the top and then down and it gets bigger on the way down. Also, if you want to turn on some music at your house, you totally can. I didn't turn on any music, so if you did want to put on music, it wouldn't clash. So it's very silent and very quiet. If you like that, if that helps you concentrate, that's great. But if you want to put on some music at your house, you know, have a little party, please, by all means, feel free to do so. And then we're going to move on to the second ear. Since this ear is bent, you're not going to go up as high. You're probably only going to go as high or halfway to this ear. So I'm just going to do a nice line about halfway up the second ear. And then it's bending down. It's a nice bent little ear. So we're going to just go down and remember to have it end on a little point. Ta-da! Cute little ear. Kind of looks like a bunny right now with the ears, but it'll look like a llama. Keep that line going. Go up. And then to make it look like an ear, we have to make sure the other side is there. So make sure it's about as thick as your other ear. This ear is about 3 finger widths across on the base, right here, not here. So I'm going to make sure it's the same. It's about 3 finger widths, little line. Congratulations, we have ourselves some ears. Now, the body is going to be way easier to draw than the ear. Before we add our face and our chin, it is literally just 2 lines going down. So I'm going to find my ear and I'm going to go out a little bit. We want this llama to be nice and round and cute. So I'm going to go out and down, 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 and down, 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 all the way to the bottom. And the same thing on the other side. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to get to that point. But again, if you have any questions, let me know. Perfect. Again, if I'm going too fast, let me know or hit the pause button. But now we're going to work on the snoot and the paintbrush. I think it's actually called a muzzle, but I like to call it a snoot. And the reason I do that, I do the snoot first so then I know where to put my eyes. So down the center of the head, find the center where the top of the head is and just go down, 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 about a hand's width down. And I'm going to do a nice big arch, rainbow shape or a frown. I don't like to say frown, but you know, a nice big arch. Perfect. Then we're going to create 2 circles on this side. Actually, yeah, like an almost circle. This is like a big C shape, and then a backwards C on the other side. And then in that shape, you're going to create a Y, letter Y. A Y. So we have the top of the snoot. Now before we create that jaw, we have to draw the paintbrush. So again, I'll give you a couple seconds before we start our paintbrush. Again, a nice arch, a C, a backwards C, and then the letter Y right in the middle of that shape we just made. Perfect. So for the paintbrush, what you're going to do, you're going to take your piece of chalk that we've been using, and I'm going to do a nice straight line all the way off the llama. It's a very big paintbrush. So we need to go all the way, and then we're going to do another line on this side. And then one here. It's a very large paintbrush. Perfect. Now, after that, we need to create this metal part for the handle and then the bristles. The bristles, the way I like to describe it is like a raindrop, a sideways raindrop. So, created my handle. I'm just going to make an up and down mark right about there. And then you could even tip your canvas to the side to get that sideways raindrop shape. But it's just a big smile shape. And then on the top of the smile, you're going to have it come to a point. You can even have the point coming off like to the side, or you can have it going straight the other side. But then when you flip it back over, boom, you have a paintbrush. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And then the last part, to create that nice jaw, you're just going to do a nice smile shape on the bottom, right underneath the snoot. Perfect. Now, I did not prepare any riddles, but I do have a joke to help pass the time while you're drawing. What do you call a pile of kittens? Pile of kittens. You can write it in the comments. I'll give the answer away in just a second. It's my favorite joke. Perfect. We're going to move on to the eyes, and then I'll tell you the punchline of my joke. So the eyes are going to go on both sides of the snoot. And the best way I can describe them, the easiest way to break them down is I'm gonna start with this eye. I'm going to do a nice arch, not as arched as the snoot, more of a shallow arch. I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna arch like that. Now, if you want to add eyelashes, you don't have to. But if you want to add the eyelashes, just have the end go up just a little bit. Cute. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. A nice arch. A nice up. Ah, it even looks cute just like that. If you wanted eyes closed and have your llama just be like, that's adorable. But if you want the eyes open, you're going to do a smile shape underneath each of those lines. So I'm going to find the end of this line and I'm going to do a nice big smile shape. And now I have an eye. And same thing on the other side. Go down and an eye. You can leave it blank like this. I like to kind of freehand my pupils, but if you want to draw in the pupils, you can. I'm going to leave mine blank. I like to just paint it on. I'll show you exactly how to do that. But now we have it all drawn on and we can start painting. But before we do, oh, I see an answer. A floof. Close. A pile of kittens, it would be called a floof. But the punchline of the joke is, what do you call a pile of kittens? A mountain. But I'll think of more corny jokes as class goes on. But let's start painting. I'm going to start on my background. That way that if I make any mistakes, it'll be kind of easy to cover it with my llama. So I'm going to find my big brush, and I'm going to find my water cup. Hopefully there's some water in the water cup. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to dip in the water cup just a little bit, and then I'm going to tap, tap on the napkin. A damp brush will help move the paint along. But again, if it's too wet, you're going to get some drips. It'll look like watercolors, which could look cool. But if you want a nice solid background, we just want a damp brush. I'm going to find my red paint. And this background is a nice light pink. So if we leave the red, it would look cool if you want a red background. But I'm going to take some of this, and I'm going to take some white, and I am going to mix it all up until I have a nice pink. Don't mix all of your white. It's very important. We'll need white for later, so just take a little bit of white. I still need some for later. And I'm going to make a nice pink. Kind of makes me want fry sauce. Ta-da! And then I'm going to find my llama. Anything that's not the llama or the paintbrush, I'm going to start painting. You can do up and down brush strokes like this if you want, or you can do crisscross brush strokes like this, or you can do horizontal like this. It's up to you. There's no right or wrong. If you want to paint the sides of the canvas as well, these are gallery wrapped canvases. They're very fancy, and they look even fancier if you paint the sides. I'll show you a little preview. If you paint the sides like that, and the top and the bottom, it just makes it professional. And we are all professionals here, let me tell you. So I'm going to keep painting the background. The closer you get to the llama, I get really nervous. So if you want to create a nice fine line, maybe take your medium brush and get some of that pink. And then you can take your little brush and get right up against that line, nice and crisp. So if you want to do that too, and then during the bigger areas, I'll just take out my big brush and just go at it. But we're just going to work on our background for a little bit. Perfect. Now, once you're done with your background, just drop a comment and just say, done with the background, and I'll give you guys a few more minutes before we start working on the llama. Maybe 3 more minutes, and just let me know when you're finished. Okay, so if you're still working on your background, it's totally fine. Keep working, and if you are done, I'm just going to give my brushes a nice good rinse in that water cup. I'm stirring it in my cup. That's the most effective way to get the paint out of the bristles, is to stir it rather than stab it in the bottom of the cup. And then I'm going to give it a nice pinch in that napkin. Make sure all that water is out of there. Nice damp brush. And yeah, not too wet, not too dry. Perfect. We're going to start on the base layer of our llama. Now, you can kind of see most of it is tan, but we have some patches of darker brown. Around this eye, it's kind of a dark, or like a light brown. This is tan. Then we'll have some nice fur marks. So for the majority of our llama fur, do llamas have fur? Or is it wool? Whatever it is, we are going to, so sorry, hold on. So sorry, the FedEx person just got here. So for the tan, I'm gonna take my big brush. I have this tan color. It's called raw sienna. So I'm going to take some of that and I'm gonna mix in a little bit of white. I put some on my plate and I'm just kind of mixing a little patch till I get this nice tan color. Awesome. Once I have a color that I like, I'm just gonna start touching it in, and you don't have to put the tan exactly where I'm putting it or the brown exactly where I'm putting it. This is your llama, so you can customize it however you like. But for the bigger areas, I'm just going to start filling it in with some tan. I'm being very careful. My pink is still a little wet, but if they overlap a little bit, it's totally fine. Got it right in here. Perfect. Patching it in. And you can kind of go a little rougher with your brush stroke since they're nice and furry and woolly. We kind of want it to have some texture. So I'm going to go up and down. Again, when you get to the nooks and crannies, like in between my eye and my snoot, I'll switch over to my littler brush, or my medium brush, I should say. Get that same color right in there. And just start getting as close as I can. Around that eye. Perfect. I'll just kind of go in with some tan. Now, if you want to change up the colors, again, we have some patches. There's a patch around this eye. You can take some white and some dark brown. And where's my camera? White and dark brown, like so. And around this eye, we can just start patching in some of that dark brown and white. And remember, you want to kind of have nice textured brush strokes. Like so. And if it goes off the lines a little bit, that's totally fine. Sorry about that. Delivery days, you know how it is. Now, the thing that will really make this llama pop that we haven't quite gotten to yet, the very last step is the black outlining. So if it seems like the pink and the tan just it's kind of all, it's not standing out, it will. Once we add the black outline, it'll just pop and it'll look beautiful and bold. So we're just gonna keep patching in. Went back to some tan. You could do like, again, like a really dark spot, like right there, like here. Just make sure to keep blending them together. We want depth and dimension. Now, has everyone thought of what they're going to name their llama? I have not thought of what I'm going to name mine. Maybe Rocky. And the reason his name will be Rocky is because then he could say, "Yo, Adrian." I don't know, it was better in my head. Better in my head. How are our llamas coming along? We have some nice color variations in there. I have some tan, some brown, some darker brown. I'll pull it up closer too. And again, if you have any questions, please don't be shy. Once I'm done filling in my llama, and if you're not there, that's totally okay, but I included a second plate without any paint on it, except there was a smudge there, but that's okay. A second plate in all of your kits. This can be used to kind of fan off your paintings. The next step is the individual brush strokes of the fur, and we need to let our first layer of our fur adhere to the canvas a little bit. So I'm just going to fan my painting a little bit. It doesn't have to get completely dry. It just needs to, again, adhere to the canvas a little bit. And these are brand new paint brushes. So if you get a little paintbrush hair in your painting, like that, get out of here. Just take your fingernail and kind of get that off of there. There we go. But then again, we are painting first. You could just leave it and say it's mixed media art. So I'm just going to fan this for a few more minutes, and then we will continue on. It's getting there. Okay, as you're finishing your llama, before we move on to the second step, I do have a riddle for you. What happens once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years? I'll let you think about that. Think about that for a few minutes and check up on my llama again. Pretty in the middle. That's called tacky, like your paint is painting. Your paint on your painting is tacky. Your painting isn't tacky. It's just kind of sticky and like almost dry, not quite there. And if that's where it's at, that's good. We just don't want fresh, wet paint before we start the second layer of fur. Now, the second layer of fur, again, are all of these individual little strands. As you can see, some of them are white, some of them are brown. You can't really see the tan ones, but there are tan ones in there too, and they're very light. And adding those three different colors of individual strands, again, just gives it nice depth and dimension. So I'm taking my medium brush, making sure it's nice and rinsed and dried, a nice pinch in that napkin. And it doesn't matter which color you start with. I think I'll just start with tan. And I do want it to stand out a little bit. So this tan, I haven't mixed with white. It's just that tan color right off the plate onto my medium brush. And I'm going to hold my brush up and down and do a quick swipe downwards all over the face. I tended to stay below the jawline, or below the paintbrush is a good kind of cutoff line. I'm just going to start sprinkling in. Hard to see on the camera, but once I start doing the dark brown, you'll be able to see it very, very well. I'm just kind of randomly throughout the painting putting in some little strands. I'll do it with the dark brown so you can see. There we go. And then after that, I'll rinse my brush and I'll do the same thing, but with white. And the white will be like a nice highlight. Does anyone have any answers for the riddle? Not seeing any in the comments. Once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years. What is it? And no Googling it. Your daughter's nickname is Llama. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. My dad's nickname for me growing up was Pickle Nose. I don't know why. I mean, I don't think it looks like a pickle, but that's the cutest nickname for your daughter, Llama. Oh, I love that. I've made this one that I'm doing in class a lot bolder than this one, and that's okay. It just shows that you can't do the same painting twice. Ah, love that. So cute. Ah, I love nicknames. Perfect. Okay, are we ready for the answer to the riddle? Again. Once in a minute, twice in a moment, never in 1,000 years. It is the letter M. Minute, moment. I didn't get it at first when I was first told that, but it's a fun riddle now. Of the letter M. Perfect. Alrighty. Are we ready for the snoot? Should I give you a couple more minutes? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Okay. A close-up of my fur. And just to show that even though I've done both of these paintings, they're always going to turn out different. Because this one, I also did. And the fur looks very different on this one. So, the moral of that story is if your painting isn't looking like either of mine, that's okay. I want your paintings to look like yours. So, for the snoot, you can do the snoot whatever color you want. If you really like the dark brown on its own, you could just do dark brown or you could just do tan. This color requires a little bit of mixing. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but it almost has a reddish hue to it. So what I'm going to do is take some white. I'm running out of mixing room. I need to get my second plate. We'll just put it there. White, a little bit of tan, a little bit of dark brown, and a little bit of red. But I still have that in my cup. There it is. And a tiny bit of red. And this is going to make it look kind of like a reddish brown color. I'm just going to keep mixing until I find a color that I like. A little bit more dark brown. Or you could just do the dark brown and the tan together. That also creates a really good color. Once you find a color that you like, mine's kind of right there, I am going to, with my medium brush, start filling in that snoot. So I filled in the top first, and then I'm going to fill in the two middle parts. Perfect. Wonderful. And then the jaw part. Make sure not to fill in the paintbrush. Skip down to the jaw, maybe the bottom lip. You know what I mean. And we have our little snoot filled in. Oh, so cute. I might go in with a little bit more dark brown and maybe darken it up just a little bit. Perfect. Once I have my snoot, I'm going to rinse my brush again and dry it out. I also forgot to mention, one of my favorite parts of class is being able to see everyone's different paintings. And with the virtual classes, I'm super grateful for you guys who are supporting us through this crazy time and doing the virtual classes. But I miss seeing everyone's paintings so much. So if you feel comfortable, if you'd like to share them with me, the email that I sent you for the link, that's our email address. If you wanted to email me progress pictures throughout the class or maybe the final product, I would love to see all of your llama paintings. It would mean so much. Just because I miss seeing everyone, you know? So if you wanted to take a picture and send it to me, I would love it. And again, thank you so much for doing this virtual class. It's the first time we've ever done anything like this, and it just means a lot that you would support us through it, and it's keeping us going through this crazy time. So thank you, genuinely. You guys are awesome. And that cheesy part's out of the way. Let's continue painting. We're going to take our medium paintbrush to paint the paintbrush. Is this paintbrushception? Yes. Paintbrush inception? Yes. So again, this handle on the example picture is dark brown. You can do any color you'd like. If you want it to be really bold, you could take some dark brown and maybe just a little teeny tiny bit of black paint. I like to be really dramatic, so I'm going to mix in just a little bit of black paint in my dark brown. And with my paintbrush, we're going to find the paintbrush handle. Now you have to be very careful because we just painted this snoot. We have to really color in the lines. I'm just going to start. It's intense. Whew, intense. After that, the handle, or not the handle, what is it called? The hilt of the brush right here is going to be a nice gray. So I rinsed and dried my brush. We're going to take some white and some black. And then just that little section right in there is gray. And then the paintbrush bristles, we're actually going to be working in layers because there's some paint on it. So for the first little bit, I'm just going to get some white and some of that dark brown. White and dark brown. And we're going to add the paint later, but just for now, I'm just going to start and just, fill in the bristles with a nice light brown. The majority of that will get covered with paint, but we still need a base layer to make it look authentic. While you still have that light brown on your brush after the bristles, if your llama ear is looking a little flat, with that same light brown that I used for my bristles, I'm just gonna do a nice little line right in there. Help it kind of have some depth. Maybe one on this ear too. Again, it'll really pop once we do our black outline, but that'll help it have even more dimension. Perfect. All right, we're gonna let that dry. While we wait for those areas to dry, we're gonna do our eyes. Now this little llama has beautiful blue eyes, but you can make the color of the eyes any color you'd want. You could do brown, you could do your eye color. So if your eyes are brown, you could do brown, or you could do green. If you mix yellow and blue together, you get green. Hazel, if you do some green, make green, and then maybe add a little bit of this tan color, make a nice hazel. You could do whatever color you'd like. So, since we're working in layers, I'm just going to take some white paint and blue. I don't think we've used, yeah, we haven't even used the blue yet. So that very rich dark blue, gonna mix it together, and then it creates a really nice light blue color. And I'm gonna just fill in the whole eye, because once that's dry, I can take my black paint and go around the eye for the lashes and inside the eye for the pupil. So it's just easiest if you paint in the whole thing blue. It'll look a little like a zombie for a minute until we add the pupil, but just stick with it. It'll all turn out. Yeah, that looks like a little, it looks like a little alien for now. But if you wanted to make an alien llama, that would be actually really cool. Perfect. No matter where you are, no matter what you're working on, once you get to this point, you have the paintbrush, you have the fur texture, you have the snoot, you have the first layer of the eyes. I'll tell you exactly what we have left. I like a game plan. I like to kind of know what's happening next. So if you're like me and you want that, the next thing we're going to do is the beautiful rainbow flower crown. Now, before we add the black lines at the very end, it's going to look a little like a rainbow blob. The black lines really define it. So if you're like, but this doesn't have any definition, just wait, it's coming. So we're going to start on the left side and work our way down the rainbow. And we're going to let our face dry. And by the time we're done with the flowers, all that will be dry. We can start adding some paint up here, some paint on the paintbrush. And then after all that, all the rainbow beautifulness, we will add our black lining all around our llama, our little pupils. And then after that, we're going to let it dry just a little bit. And it's all these white dots. That's the funnest part of the painting, in my opinion. Aside from maybe adding some freckles, there's some very subtle freckles along the face, which is really cute. But after this, I'm going to make sure my forehead on my llama is nice and bone dry. I'm going to take my medium brush, make sure it's rinsed and dry. Alrighty, on the left side, we have a single red flower. So I dipped into my red paint. I didn't mix it with anything. Single red flower. And right about here, I will paint on a little flower. I like to do the classic 5-petal flowers, but you could do any kind of flower you want. Now after that, we need orange. Now we don't have orange, but we can make it. I'm not rinsing my brush at all. I still have all that red in there. And then I'm going to get some yellow. And my plate is a mess, but you're gonna look right here. Orange, orange, red, and yellow. Now we want to make sure these flowers overlap so they're not just perfectly spaced because it's a flower crown. They're going to overlap, they're going to touch. So right about here, maybe we'll make this one a tiger lily. So I'll make these petals kind of spiky. Kind of cool. Look at that. That's another example you could do for a flower. Or again, you can just keep it the classic 5-petal rounded flower. It's up to you. You could add some like little mini flowers or something. After that, rinse your brush and dry your brush. Next, we have yellow. Now, our yellow paint is very, very see-through. So, add some white. White will help it become very opaque. So, it's nice and solid and it looks like a flower. So I mix some white and some yellow. And I'm just going to find where I want to put my next flower right here. We'll blend a little bit with the orange, and that's okay. And oh my goodness, you can't even see that because it's so light. I'm going to put this closer. Yellow flower. And I'll do a couple. I've only been doing one of each color, but let's do a couple of yellows. Let's do another one right here. Yeah. Perfect. After the yellow, you're going to take that yellow and we're going to make green. Now, if you want to make a green flower, you totally can. But in this particular painting, the green is just the leaves. So I'm going to take some yellow and some blue. I like to do more yellow than blue because I like a nice lime green. That's just a personal preference. If you like more of a rich forest green, do a little bit more blue than yellow. But we have some leaves, and the leaves are like the end of the paintbrush. Think of a teardrop. So we have a nice point, and then it gets kind of bigger at the end. Right here. And then we have just some craziness coming out this side, and then maybe like a nice leaf right here. Now to really make this look like a flower crown, what you could do is you could sprinkle some green throughout, like in between some of the flowers. Just like that. Maybe I'll put some over here. Adding extra green will help it really look like a flower crown. Perfect. Now for blue, it almost looks, the shape of the flower almost looks like a lilac. So I'm going to take some blue and some white, and instead of and you can still do a classic 5-petal flower, because that would kind of look like a forget-me-not, which is my third favorite flower. So I'm going to do a nice little line right here, straight up and down line. I'm going to pull this closer for this part. And then on both sides of the line, I'm just going to do some little marks like this. So it looks like a nice little blue sprig. Maybe a nice little lilac. just like so. Now, while you have that blue, once you're done with the little sprigs, there's some blue on the cheek. So above your paintbrush, I'll cover that up with the. I'm just going to do a nice little scribble. He's got some paint on his face. And then there's some blue on the edge of his ear. And then there's also purple, which will be what we're doing next. And then there's also some blue on the paintbrush, along with purple. That will be all of our next things. I have some blue. And after that, red and blue make purple. So I took my blue and a little bit of red, and then I really like to lighten it up. I like to make it more of a not a lilac, lavender color. So I'll just take a little bit of white until I have a nice purple color that I like. And then I'm going to finish out the flower crown with some purple flowers. Again, don't be afraid to overlap. Have some going in the blue section. You can have some all through here. Perfect. And like I said, once we add the black lining, it'll pull it all together. And then while I still have that purple on my brush, I'm going to fill in the rest of that tip of the ear with some purple paint. This llama is a messy painter, and so am I, so it fits. Then we have some purple smeared on the cheek right below the blue here and on the end of the paintbrush. Perfect. And again, if I'm ever too fast, hit that pause button. You can catch up, or again, you can message the comment section, be like, slow down, you know. So again, I'm here, I'm listening. But yeah, I really like that pause button. So you can kind of catch up, kind of paint at your own pace. This is supposed to be a nice, relaxing time. But after your beautiful paint splatter, not splatters, goodness, your paint flowers and paint dips in on the cheeks and everything, our eyes should be nice and dry. So we're going to bust out that tiny, tiny little brush and plain black paint. Now there's a couple different ways you could do your eyes. I've had people in the past do their pupils heart-shaped, like the llama's in love, and that's really cute. Or cross-eyed, where the pupils are like really in the center like that. Or you could do it on the opposite side of the eye, so it looks kind of crazy. You know, you could put the pupils wherever. But I'm going to take my pointy, tiny brush, plain black paint, and about halfway down the eye, I'm going to, on the left eye, do a nice big C shape. And on the right eye, do a backwards C shape. And then I'm going to fill it in. And then to really define the eyes, think of doing eyeliner to your llama. It's not eyeliner, like we're just outlining the eye, but essentially it's eyeliner. So, the top of the eye, remember where we put our chalk. So you're just going to do that nice big arch, and then you can do a nice little flip if you want to do the lashes at the end, and then underneath the eye, you're going to do a nice big smile shape. And the same thing on the other side. Perfect. Now don't worry about the reflection marks in the eyes, as you see here. We're going to do that very last. We have to let our paintings dry completely before we can do that. Just going to fan this a little bit. Maybe I'll find my other plate. Yes. Just going to fan this a little bit. Because after the eyes, we are going to outline everything with our black paint. Everything. And then our white highlights. And then that's class. So I'm just going to dry it off a little bit. Fan it. You can fan yourself. Perfect. Now, for lining your llama, my personal favorite brush, I said this at the beginning of class, is this one, even to line. But if you like the teeny tiny brush to line, it's up to you. You could use either brush. There's no right or wrong. But our black paint has been sitting out for quite a while now. So I'm going to take my little brush and dip it in the water and then just mix like 1 or 2 drops of water directly in the black paint. That way it'll rehydrate it and make it apply very smooth. So I'm going to start with the ear. Now you can do a big, long, smooth brush stroke if you would like, or if you look here, it's lots of little brush strokes. I'm going to hold my brush up and down, and I'm just going to flick upward, and then flick, 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 all the way up the other side. And then I'll show you that up close. Perfect. And then you can do some lines in the ear. I'm going to outline my flowers very last. So once I have my ears, I'm going to hop down to the body, and it's the same thing, just nice, short, little brush strokes all the way down. And look, we have a nice defined llama. You can really tell the difference. Like look at this side compared to this side. It really defines our little llama. And then we need to add a chin. Look here compared to the one that's done. A chin, for the example anyway, imagine the letter W, and then imagine if someone stepped on it. So it's still kind of a W, it's just really flat. Think of that. Let's see. Ta-da! And then even though I really like the flat brush, when it comes to the snoot, I'm going to switch over to the teeny tiny brush. And get those nostrils defined in there. And then, if you want to add some freckles, this part's totally optional, but any chance you can add freckles, why not? You could take some tan or maybe some brown, depending on how prominent you want your freckles to be, but I'm just going to take my little brush and then all along the snoot and under the eyes. Got some nice subtle freckles. And then you want to outline your entire paintbrush. And for the flowers, I like to use the tiny brush again for those outlining. I'm going to find where I have some petals really going to focus on giving that some depth and dimension. The centers of the flowers, I'm going to use plain white, so that'll be my very last step. This is really going to give our flowers some life, some dimension. Very nice. After that, a nice fan is in order. Now, for the white dots, again, no matter where you are, once you get there, for the white dots, you can try to paint perfect circles if you want, or I have a hack for you. Find your big brush again, take the handle side, the handle, and if you just dip it in some white paint, you get a perfect circle without even having to try. Look at that. Boom. And then for your smaller circles, because we want size variation in all of our circles, I'm going to take my medium brush, or you could even take your teeny brush if you would like. I'm going to take my medium brush and I will add maybe a second little dot in the eyes, give it an extra twinkle, or anywhere that really needs a highlight. So some dots along the top of the paintbrush, or maybe in like the handle. I'll use my bristles for the handle, just like a little line. Or in the paint splatter on the cheek, like so. And then in my flower centers, in the paint splatter on the ear, Beautiful. And see how that highlight really, really just makes it pop. So once you're done with the white highlight, that is your painting. You can use a marker or your little paintbrush to sign it. So maybe you could do your whole name or you could just do a symbol. I'm going to do just my first name. But you can sign it however you want. You could put the date on it. You could add any customizations you want to this painting too. You could add some more paint splatters. You could make your llama very messy if you wanted, like a Jackson Pollock llama. You could add like a little drop coming off the paintbrush like that, or two if you wanted. But any customizations you want to add, feel free. But other than that, that is the painting. So I just wanted to say, again, let's get mushy again. Thanks so much for painting with me and being willing to do the take-home kits during this time. All of your support really means a lot, and you're awesome. So this is the painting. I'm not going anywhere just because the painting's done. I'll still be here if you have any questions. Feel free to type them out, and in about 5 minutes, I will end the live video. Again, if you feel comfortable sharing your final products with me, I would love to see them. Just email them to me at murray@paintingwithatwist. That would be awesome. Please, I would love to see them. And other than that, again, please type out any questions you have, and then the video will end in about 5 minutes. Thanks again.